Cam Sutton made headlines, at least for our site yesterday. He's catching some traction here as his contract set to void and free agency is almost upon us. His contract is reportedly set to void on Friday, which means that the Steelers have 5 days to re-sign him before he becomes like an official free agent. On top of that, their last contract with him had void years in it, which means that they're going to lose $2.1 million in dead cap this season if they do not re-sign him by Friday. On top of that, the Minnesota Vikings, who hired Brian Flores, and that's why I think the connection is there, and the Detroit Lions, who could use cornerback help, have both been linked to Cam Sutton, targeting him heavy this offseason. I think both teams make sense, especially with Flores there. Do you think the Steelers have a sense of urgency this week to say, hey, we got to get a deal done by Friday. We can't take any risks with Cam Sutton? Or do they let it walk and kind of be patient and, go as their plan usually goes in the offseason?
Well, I think they better have a sense of urgency because I think, as we've talked about before, Cam Sutton is one of, if not the most important, piece of the offseason checklist, for lack of a better term. The thing that they need to do this offseason that is probably the most important to their 2023 success. They're thin at corner and they need all the help they can get, and they especially need high-end talent at the cornerback position. That is Cam Sutton. Cam Sutton had a fantastic year. He earned the money that they would have to pay him. I hope they have a sense of urgency about it because I think they really need him.
Yeah, me too. The difficult part here is that they are $1 million over the cap space. So they have $1 million to work with. They got to make a move before then. And I think that pushes the envelope of guys like Mitch Trubisky and William Jackson of just saying like, okay, well, we have to get rid of you either right now or we have to wait it out with Cam Sutton and then put ourselves in a bigger hole, because that's the thing. If the Steelers re-sign Cam Sutton after Friday, they're still hit with that $2.1 million in dead cap space. And I doubt that Cam and his agent are going to sit there and be like, oh yeah, we'll just count that towards the next one. We'll give you a bit of a discount. The Steelers are not going to do that, or both sides are not going to do that. This is a business. They're going to look at that and say, okay, well, we're getting paid $2.1 million from the Steelers. If we signed somewhere else, we'd still be getting paid that $2.1 million. So if we sign with the Steelers, we're still getting paid that $2.1 million, and we're getting paid what we would normally get paid on the free agency market. So that's not going to work out for Pittsburgh. I don't know. I think that they're tied up in Mitch Trubisky for the wrong reasons right now. So I don't know if they'd cut him by Friday. William Jackson makes a ton of sense to me to just say, hey, get out of here. We'll save, I don't remember what the number is. It's like $11 million or something this offseason. Like, that is the easiest number you could work with. Go sign Cam Sutton. I think his market value is, I want to say it's like $7 million a year, 3 years, $7 million a year, puts him like right above Mike Hilton. It's just an easy call for me. And they just won't. If he doesn't sign by Friday, are you worried that one of these teams might throw him an offer that he can't refuse?
Yeah. And yes, I am. And that's part of why I think you need to get a deal done this week. I don't want to have to compete with another more desperate team's number. Not desperate, but another team.
But desperate though. They're both very desperate teams.
Right. Like, I don't want to have to compete with a team that really wants him to. I would rather, like, they're in a certain way, they're kind of playing uncontested right now, and they can make the loan offer to Cam Sutton right now. They can be the only one in his ear, and that's why I think that's another reason why I think this week is so important for them. Like, you can't let that opportunity go by with someone who's so important to next.
Do you think that he wants to do that? If you're Cam Sutton, because last time Sutton was about to hit free agency market, yeah, there was some value to him, but it wasn't a ton. He didn't have a bunch of playing time under his belt. He was kind of like a real versatile piece. Nobody knew where he was going to fit. He's got a market this offseason. Like, he would get numbers pretty much anywhere. If you're Cam Sutton, are you waiting it out? Are you saying, I want to see what happens? Or are you content? Are you listening to him? Do you believe him when he says that, his top priority is to return to the Steelers?
Yeah, I think Cam Sutton's kind of a straight shooter. I don't think he would say otherwise if he didn't believe it, or say that if he didn't believe it. I know he stands to make a lot of money. I don't know if, like, part of me feels like this city and this franchise would value him a little bit more than just having been able to see him up close, having been the team that drafted him, they would value him a little bit more than someone somewhere else might. And I think the connection to Mike Tomlin and the defense and all of that stuff is stronger than any connection that he with guy who coached a different position for him for a year.
I agree. I think I trust Cam what he says. Agents make me very nervous. They always will. Those guys are all business all the time, which they should be. That's their job. And they're good. They're damn good at it. But yeah, it does make me a little nervous that if he did hit the open market, his agent would get some offers that you're an NFL player and you love the Pittsburgh Steelers, but what are the Pittsburgh Steelers offering right now? They're not looking at a Super Bowl run anytime soon. They got a lot of question marks. Yeah, they have a great defense, but they got a really nerve-wracking offense. Their defense is also getting old. They got some positions that they need to fill. They have no cap space. A lot of question marks, whereas in a team like Detroit, for instance, is on the up and up and they look good. And Dan Campbell is just as interesting of a coach to play for as Mike Tomlin. And then, the Brian Flores connection might not be as strong as the Mike Tomlin, Cam Sutton connection. But again, Minnesota is always a team that's in the hunt, always. And that's got to be interesting too. And if you get a number that's huge and you're just like, well, I can't pass that. It's the Mike Hilton. It's what happened with Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton hit free agency and the Steelers had a number for him. And instead the Cincinnati Bengals were like, dude, we'll give you $25 million. And he was like, well, I'm not going to turn that down. I'm going to go get $25 million. If the Steelers are sitting here and they're like, well, we'll give you 22. And the Vikings are like, we'll give you 27. You're going to take the $27 million. So I think the Steelers are playing with fire right now. And there's just no, you know what I mean? There's no need to not get a deal done. If you're Omar Khan, especially from what we've seen with Omar Khan. And I think that plays a role into this is he has kind of changed the narrative in Pittsburgh the last season of how they do business. Instead of being calm and super relaxed on everything, there's some sense of urgency. And I think in this instance, maybe they make a move. Do you think it would be William Jackson? If they had to cut somebody this week, do you think it would be William Jackson that went?
Yeah. He's the most obvious one. I don't think they're ready to make a decision on Mitch yet.
No, which is ridiculous.
They're going to string that out for as long as possible, I think. But William Jackson makes the most sense to me. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. You get rid of them and move on.
If you are thinking about a number for Cam Sutton and you're the Steelers, you thinking you threw out 22?
I'm giving him 7. Yeah, I'm giving him 7 a year. I'm giving him. He's 27 years old right now. If I'm the Steelers, I'm giving him 3 years. That'll give him to 30. Most cornerbacks fall off after 30, so I would give him 3 years, $7 million a year, maybe 7.5, depending. I wouldn't load the back end. I would keep their deals. A lot of them are load the back end. Cam Sutton's a proven commodity. You give him a deal, you let him, you pay him equally throughout the process. And then, you set it up as the Steelers usually do where the cap space isn't real. And you're able to, that's $7 million that you could turn into a signing bonus and save yourself $6 million a year. And, you'll feel very comfortable with that $6 million a year. And then it'll get paid on the front end. I think that's the thing. People get hung up on contracts. If you backload a contract, it's good and bad, because if you push it out too far, like the case of Miles Jack or Mitch Trubisky, where they're entering the last year of their contract, you can't do anything about that. You know what I mean? You can't extend him and change it into a signing bonus. With Cam Sutton, year 2, you need cap space. You just revert it into a signing bonus, give him $1 million. Boom. It's a $1 million cap hit, for the upcoming season. Huge number. So yeah, I'm giving him 7, maybe 7.5. And I'm feeling good. I'm getting rid of William Jackson. I'm probably keeping Akello Witherspoon. I'm getting rid of James Pierre. I'm keeping Levi Wallace, and then I'm going to go get a corner in the draft. That's my plan of attack. Yeah.
Then win a Super Bowl.
Then go win a Super Bowl, and feel real good about it. I just think that's it. And I think the same with Terrell Edmonds. I would go sign Terrell to $4 million for the next 3 seasons. That's good money for a safety that's not going to go get paid pretty much anywhere else. I'd try. That gives you enough money to try to get DeMonte KZ back. And then your secondary is pretty much taken care of. And then you go solve the defensive line, which is a way bigger issue for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But
I just don't want to have to worry about corner. Like,
no, exactly. Like you have the opportunity to, in the first time in forever, like for as long as, I mean, you didn't grow up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Like I have been through the mud watching these cornerbacks. It's been Ike Taylor, nobody until Joe Hayden. And even Joe Hayden had 2 years before it was just like, okay, Joe Hayden's getting old. And then it was back to no, but now it's Cam Sutton. And, that gap in between Taylor and Hayden was long. People, I was scrolling through, Madden a couple days ago. I'm looking at the free agency market, and Ross Cockrell shows up, and I'm just like, wow, that guy's still around, huh? I didn't think he would make it very far after he left the Steelers, but yeah, it's an opportunity to kind of solidify that group, even if you got to go extend Levi Wallace for another season or two, and just give yourself a cornerback room, and then go build the rest of it. And I feel like you're really good if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Much better situation than if you go into free agency without Cam Sutton signed. Then you're in trouble, because then at that point you might have to pay that guy $8 million. Cam Sutton by no means should take a hometown discount. He doesn't. He's played too well to take a hometown discount. Terrell Edmonds, on the other hand, he's a guy that maybe should.
Yeah, you're either paying him $8 million or you are relying on a rookie to start and play a ton of snaps right away, which I don't like either. And
you don't have an inside corner. Like at that point, you're just like, there's just the things that Cam Sutton could do, man. Like it's just, that is a piece where if there is a hole, he's your option to fill it. And there's no better, ability. The best ability is availability, in the words of Mike Tomlin.